There is a darkness that's been allowed to grow for too long. It has sought to rob women, children, their hopes, their dreams. For many children and women, abuse, it's a regular, constant experience. It happens every day. The effects go on for generations that can rob them from joy and the future that God promised them. It's a world that is shrouded in silence, secrecy, abuse.
From the mentally ill mother, alcoholic father, poverty, sexual abuse. It actually took me 62 years to realize why God didn't remove me from that.
1 in 4 women absolutely experience this. I was in an abusive marriage.
Sadly, these victims of abuse, they often fight the rest of their life to overcome the trauma and the torment that they were left with at the hands of their abuser. And without help, these survivors can suffer from feelings of worthlessness, shame, depression, fear, and often these emotions, and they're real, they lead to feelings of absolute hopelessness, and in very extreme cases, even suicide.
A lot of people just don't realize the agony that a child goes through. I think a lot of children that die that are labeled accidents, they were actually suicide that was disguised as accidents.
Dr. McDonald and the caring staff of Racheals Rest provide professional, clinical counseling from a Christian perspective to those who have been hurt and affected by abuse. Meeting the needs of hurting people will not only help them individually, but it will strengthen their families, give them and their children a better start in life. Tell us about the mission of the organization, if you would. Give us a summary.
Well, our mission statement is that we exist to help women and children who've experienced violence or sexual abuse regain their balance in life.
This whole topic of healing is so important. In fact, I would establish that it's critical. Most people that have gone through some sort of abuse or trauma in their life, they spend their life coping. And many of them, well, they're not coping at all. The tentacles, if you will, symptoms, the result of the abuse that has happened in their life without healing, without professional help, without God. It ends up, in many cases, being a train wreck for people, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you see with people that are coming to you for help? Is that they're in the midst of absolute struggle and turmoil?
Most people that come are just at a point, in fact, they have to be at a point where they're wanting to make a change in their life. And we have a saying at Racheals Rest that we create the reality we think we deserve. And if you grow up with domestic violence or abuse of any kind, you develop a low self-esteem, feelings of worthlessness, and spiritual confusion, and a host of other things. Well, if you grow into adulthood with that mindset, then you're not going to go to college, you're not going to get a good job, you're going to settle for whatever crumbs life will throw you.
Yeah.
So they usually end up in an abusive relationship or become abusers themselves.
Wow.
So we just hope to change their mindset when they're at Racheals Rest retreats, so that they want to build a better life for themselves, and we give them the tools to do that.
I think the known places a person would go for help would be women's shelters, but not every woman who is experiencing abuse necessarily needs a shelter.
Yeah.
They need guidance. They need to understand what it is that they're going through. And often these women are isolated. So one of the components of abuse is very typically that. And so the loudest voice in their ear is that of the abuser. And that's why these retreats are so powerful, because these women are with other victims who are becoming survivors and trying to get past this experience of abuse.
Sure.
And so rather than living in this place of isolation, they find people that they can connect with. They can be in counseling at the same time they're connecting with other people who have experienced the same thing. So it just becomes such a powerful way of reconnection rather than isolation.
None of our contributions go to the administrative cost. We cover that through our individual counseling. It just goes right into Racheals Rest.
Wow.
So any money that is donated or raised goes to either the retreat fund to purchase land and build the retreat.
Got it.
Or it goes to scholarship funds to help send someone to the retreat.